Now, let's welcome our first guests. James Knudsen, Christy Hathaway, and Brandi Martin are all actors in the hot new play, The Humans, which opens February 28th at Fresno City College. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thanks. Good to be here. Thanks.
So I have a story, a show-off story to tell about The Humans. I was in Chicago. This was a few years ago. I had one opportunity to see a show. I opened the Chicago Tribune. Completely by blind luck, I just picked The Humans because, you know, it was as far from Broadway as you can get at that point. And then it ends up getting raves. It goes to New York. It goes off Broadway, on Broadway, wins the Tony Award, nominated for the Pulitzer. Pretty good prediction, wouldn't you say? Or pretty good choice.
Good
yes.
choice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Brandi, tell us a little about this show. What can people expect?
This show is about a family that gathers for Thanksgiving in New York. Two of the characters actually live in New York and everyone else travels there. Most of the family is actually from a town called Scranton, which is near Philadelphia. So as a cast, we've actually been working on the Scranton accent, which is very difficult. I keep slipping into New York, and it's not quite that, and it's not quite Philadelphia either. It's specific. But having come from Scranton, which is a small town, I actually feel it's a lot like Fresno because it's in between some other bigger cities that are more well known. This family is very middle class, and the youngest daughter has moved to New York, moved in with her boyfriend in a duplex apartment in Chinatown, and we are all gathering for Thanksgiving dinner. And so this play is very much a slice of life in the world of this family. There are no scene breaks. Once we open the door to begin Thanksgiving dinner, the play goes right through to the end with no blackouts, no scene transitions. It's just us on stage, and we're completely exposed with all of our human problems that we have.
So James, you were telling me that you've never had a Thanksgiving dinner actually that went this short, right? Yeah. But it's basically the entire dinner, and you play
the father.
The father
of these two characters.
And so tell us about this father.
He's a dad. He is. You mentioned the family being middle class, and they're middle class, but just, you know, I mean, it's one of those things that we hear about in the news, that everybody says they're middle class, but the bar keeps getting lower and lower, and their bar's gotten pretty low. So he's worked at a school for most of his life. He's married. He has his two children, and he also takes care of his mother, who is in pretty advanced dementia.
And she is at the dinner.
She's at the dinner as well.
Yes,
she's made the trip.
And so, Christy, you play the younger daughter. Yes. Tell us about, so both of the daughters have some pretty serious issues going on. So tell us about that.
Yes, well, Amy has a lot of sort of gastrointestinal issues that we see throughout the show, and how that can affect the quality of life of someone who's recently gone through a breakup and is also, you know, struggling at her job. And as for Bridget, she is...
And that's your character,
That's
Bridget.
me, baby. Yeah, she is broke, struggling with college loans, and somehow also living in a duplex apartment. We wonder about how she's using that unemployment money that she's getting, and at the same time having a lot of problems that she thought were resolved with her parents, and yet they're still coming up. And so there are a lot of points of tension, and for Bridget, trying to keep a really cool face and just enjoy this family dinner, and noticing how her own stress in her personal life and the stressors between her parents and even Amy sometimes, how that gets in the way of just having a nice time.
So this is a hard play to describe in terms of plot, because it really is. It's in real time. It's a dinner. I guess the safe thing to say without giving anything away is that you start to learn about each of these characters kind of really in depth, and things kind of slip out. Is that how you describe it, Brandi?
I would say that each of these characters is a fully fleshed out human being, and none of them are perfect. And they've all made mistakes. They've all dealt with very human problems. Amy's chronic illness is certainly an issue at Thanksgiving dinner. But because of that, we're in a family situation where there's a lot of love in this family, but there's a lot of misunderstanding each other as well. So they fight, but it's fighting through caring about each other, maybe a little too much. And of course, as daughters, sometimes your parents, they love you a lot, but they love you in a way that isn't exactly helpful in the moment. It's not going to solve that chronic illness. What mom and dad want to do for their daughters is not going to fix all the problems, but talking about it sometimes makes it worse. And so there's all of that tension happening in each of these scenes. And also, we are trying to have a good time. We haven't seen each other in a long time.
Yeah, and it's still a holiday.
It's still a holiday.
Right,
you want to
right.
make it nice, but
So-
everyone's issues are really getting in the way.
Yeah. So Brandi, you are a longtime fixture on the Fresno theater scene. You've come back from doing your master's. James, you are teaching at
Fresno City College,
Fresno City College. Christy, you're our student up here, right?
I'm the
Tell us
student.
about the kind of the student mentor design of this show.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting situation where some of these roles are double cast, some of them are not. So me and Leslie, who plays the mother, and James, we're sort of in both casts, and then all the other roles are double cast. But in that cast that we primarily are rehearsing with on the stage right now, that cast is all faculty, me, the student, and then, Brandi has her master's, so it's a really neat opportunity because the understudies and the people who are double cast, they get to watch, learn, try their hand at it, and really do amazing work, come up with their own ideas, but also we're sort of in this mentorship program throughout the show of learning from people who have had more education in theater. So that makes our show really unique for sure.
Okay.
And those students are really talented.
So James, I'm going to put you on the spot. This sounds pretty deep and it sounds pretty brutal. Why should you go and see a show like this that gets right down into the depths of human psyche?
Well, if I say to students, I've done all the nice theater I ever need to do in my life. And this is not necessarily a nice piece of theater in that it's going to tie everything up in a bow and all that. But it is going to give you a look into a real family and how they are dealing with things. And our director made the comment that, a lot of times you see stories where the family is dysfunctional and disintegrates and all that. This family is not perfect, and it would certainly be described as dysfunctional by some, but they're staying in it. They are staying in the fight and working on what they've got to work on. So I think that's something to
And that's what we
take a
all have
look
to
at.
do. And it's also great to be able to just go to see an evening of really well-written, well-acted theater. So, Brandi, tell me, when does the show open and how long does it run for?
Oh no, February
Your cast members can help you.
28th through March
7th.
7th.
March 7th. So not a very long run. So you have to, just basically a 2-weekend run.
Right,
So.
right. And also because since it's double cast, I'm sure we'll have that information out there.
Right.
But no matter when you come, it's going to be an interesting, fun production.
Well, thank you very much for coming.